ColdFusion Alive, the podcast for the ColdFusion community. Discover practices, tools, techniques, tips, trends, and what's new in the world of ColdFusion today. Brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Carol Hamilton, and she is going to talk about some of the behind-the-scenes info at this year's CFObjective. And we're going to look at some of the exciting speakers at the conference, some of the topics coming up that are interesting, and talk about the location, which has changed since last year. There's also some interesting options available this year that weren't available in prior CFObjectives, and we'll talk about Carol's role in how putting CFObjective together. So welcome, Carol.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So what are the speakers that you are interested in this year? I know you're involved in helping pick the speakers, so you probably know about everything about all the speakers.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem with asking me that I do know all the speakers and I get to know them pretty well working with them over the year, over multiple years, seeing them around. So, I mean, I'm not going to be able to pick a favorite, but I would have to say I'm super excited to see Mark Escher back. Did you ever get to see Mark Escher around when you were around?
I haven't. So what particular are you excited about Mark's thing this year?
So Mark is our keynote this year. I surfed around, narrowed it down to 3 amazing keynotes from 3 amazing speakers, and we voted and decided to take Mark back. He left us for a while, but he's coming back. He's going to be talking about the human side of software, so not CF related, just more about how developers interact with each other, how their teams function, how working remote makes a difference from working on site with someone. So I'm really excited to see his keynote this year.
That sounds really interesting, and I think that's a place where a lot of projects fall down. So
it absolutely is.
Agree on that.
Yeah.
And I see you have a lot of other famous people in ColdFusion and development community coming this year. I noticed Brad Wood, who's the ColdBox evangelist, is going to be there.
Yeah, Brad
Charlie
Wood
F, expert on systems.
Oh yeah, Charlie's an expert on all things ColdFusion, so take advantage and pick his brain while you have it. And we have Luis.
Yeah,
Luis is big ColdBox. Yeah.
Yeah, Luis Manjero is going to be there as well, talking about ColdBox. And I see you've got Gert Franz coming all the way from Switzerland, who's going to be talking about Lucy.
Yep.
Any other speakers that catch your eye?
Oh yeah, you got Mark Drew. You didn't even mention him. He's huge. Ray Camden. Anything that Ray does, I attend. He just blows my mind every time he talks. We have Chris Korsmo coming back. He took a year off, I think, with some work and stuff. So he's back again this year. Dave Ferguson, our handy-dandy SQL guy. Gavin Picken. Gavin submitted so many talks, and so did Nolan Eric. So both of those guys go above and beyond to give back to this community. So like I said, it's hard to just narrow down to a favorite. They're all so good, and we work so hard to get all these guys in here, and ladies. We have a few ladies too. So to get them in, get sessions in for them. So we're excited. Yeah,
I was just talking to Mary Jo Sminky, so it is good that we've got both men and women represented, and looks like we've got almost like a record number of speakers this year. Is it?
Yeah, I don't know the counts. We have 26 speakers this year, so I don't know what our normal is. So I think 26 is good. We only have 4 rooms this year. We dropped a room. So by dropping the track, we were able to save some money, get the rates decreased. So that helped. But we still have 26 speakers.
Great. And not only an opportunity to hear the speakers in their workshop, but also to meet them in the corridor and maybe buy them a beer at the bar and really chat with them in detail.
Absolutely. That is one thing I've always loved about this conference is we keep it small, and they kept it small before I was involved. So, I mean, we keep it small so that attendees have the ability to interact with the speakers, and you can just sit and have conversations with them and sit at the bar and buy each other a drink and talk. And a lot of relationships I've made in the CF world have came from CFObjective, and I value those people a lot.
Great. So a lot of interesting topics this year. Any that in particular that interest you, Carol?
Oh, me. I'm curious about OpenWhisk. I have no idea what it is. It's something Ray's speaking about from IBM. So I'm going to go see what that is. Adam and the other guys take that one, and I just said, go ahead, because everyone else said yes. So it's going to be one of the things that I know nothing about, and going to go into it, complete intro, figuring out what it is. But I think it's like serverless, so we'll see. Should be interesting.
Well, Ray's a great speaker, so whatever topic he talks on is usually good.
Oh, yeah. Anything he says, like, you can follow along. And if not, he's one of those guys that you do go sit and talk with after, and you come out understanding it. And then I'm actually curious about Mary Jo's advanced error handling. I think that's where a lot of developers lack some skill at when it comes to ColdFusion, is knowing how to actually error handle correctly and not just going and pulling out the log. Because there's a lot more you can do than just the application log. So I think that'll be good, and it'll be educational for everyone.
Yeah, I just finished an interview with her, and I was blown away by all the clever ideas she had for error handling in not just ColdFusion, but also JavaScript and SQL Server.
Oh yeah, she goes over all of it. So I'm super excited about that one too, because I think it's going to be a huge hit. Yeah.
And then looks like Mark Drew's going to be helping us get going with Docker containers. So I know that's something a lot of people are interested in, and I've seen a lot of progress in the ColdFusion world towards doing containerization. And of course, the some of the stuff that Autis puts out helps with that.
Oh yeah, they have some great modules to help with that. But we did Docker last year, a couple different talks on it, and they went over really well. So having him and Eddie is also doing one. So go to Drew's first and learn it, and then go to Eddie's about actually automating it and going scale with it.
What are the tracks? Do you have tracks this year? You said there are 4 rooms, but are the talks organized into different tracks, or how does that work?
So we originally tried. Okay, let me step backwards. We used to be completely track-based. One room, you would go into the entire conference, and that's where all your JavaScript would be at. You would go in one room, and that's where all your ColdFusion stuff would be at. So this year we actually went a different route, and we did tag-based. So we had speakers submit so that overlaying topics could still be put together. So we didn't really go track-based. We just tried going more, I don't know, CFML in a room, and then everything else everywhere else, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. The tag thing didn't quite work as expected this year, so I think next year we'll go back to a track-based system. It was, agile. You try, you don't like it, you do something else. Okay.
Well, that makes sense. And this year's CFObjective is over 2 days. Is that right, or? Yes.
So previous years, CFObjective was 3 days. It was called 3 days. It was technically 2.5 days because that third day we didn't do a full day. So this year we decided to, like I said earlier, drop one track, so one less conference room that we have to book, and then drop that third day off, which substantially cut the price for attendees. So it took you from the $8.99, $7.99 early bird rate to the $4.99. So it was a huge difference just by dropping off those for that one track and then the half day on Friday.
And it looks like you're starting pretty early on Thursday, the 20th of July. Got an 8 a.m. start on the Thursday and an 8:30 a.m. start on the Friday.
Yep, we did. We bumped it up a little bit because we wanted to try to utilize all the time we could.
And then I know you've got, you mentioned Mark Escher's doing the keynote on the human side of software. Then you've also got Adobe coming in on the Friday doing a general session. Can you tell us anything about that, or who's speaking on that?
I can't tell you anything about that yet. You just have to kind of wait and see. Adobe is platinum sponsor this year. So with that, they get the keynote, and we agreed to do them on the second day keynote because we really wanted Mark Escher on the first day. We're super excited to see him. But Adobe is going to bring some great things, and I think everyone they'll be excited to go to it. It's not going to be a keynote where you walk out feeling like you've just been told to go buy something that you already have. So why'd you even come to it? So I think you'll be excited.
All right. Cool. And then any other topics that stand out for you this year?
I don't think you're going to go wrong anywhere. Go to Ray's Node4JS. I know I keep saying Ray stuff. I probably should find other people to brag about, but you love who you love sometimes. Charlie's is fighting eating your servers. That's always good. It just helps you figure out, where your load's coming at and how to fix it. And can your server even handle load? Because usually your server can. Usually bad code can't. I think that's pretty much like.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think you're going to go wrong anywhere.
Your load.
Which one's that?
Right.
Sorry.
So.
This podcast is brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts. If you have a ColdFusion app that you don't have time to maintain, TerraTech's ColdFusion Revive service is the answer. And now back to our podcast.
Oh, I think Charlie's talking about how automated spiders and bots can be surprisingly using up a lot of load.
Oh, I need to click on that. I may have said that wrong. I thought he was doing one on unexpected load. Okay, yeah. I might have misunderstood that one when I looked at it a while ago. Sorry.
So I know you've moved from the, Minnesota over to a new location in Washington, D.C. Tell us a bit about the new location.
So for the few CFMLers left in Minnesota, there's not many. There's only a couple left, and I don't think I'm going to offend anyone when I say the market's just kind of dried up there. So everyone was having to travel in, and getting to Minnesota isn't the easiest place to travel to when you're traveling internationally or even when you're traveling cross country. Most attendees and speakers would complain about having the hot flights and things. So we looked for a location that was easier to get to for people. So we went West Coast, we went Atlanta, we went Chicago, we went DC, and at the end of it, after a lot of discussion, a lot of price hunting, a lot of thinking about our attendees and speakers, we decided on going to DC. And part of that was we hope that with the DC move, we will pick up some of the government employees who have budgets for training but no budgets for travel. So by doing that, we kind of open ourselves back up to some other attendees that might not have been able to go elsewhere.
And where in DC is it going to be held?
The conference is at let me look at the name of it because I always say it wrong. I think it's the newsroom.
The National Press Club?
There you go, the Press Club. I should know that off the top of my head, and I don't still. Yes, it's at the National Press Club, and the speakers and the committee will be staying at the JW Marriott, which is like 0.2 of a mile from the venue, from the Press Club.
Well, that's a great hotel. So
Yeah.
and it sounds like a great location. Lots of different rooms there, and easy to get on the metro as well.
Yeah, that's kind of what we looked at, was that people commuting in would still be able to come. People looking for rooms should be able to find a room close by, walking distance, and still be able to afford the hotel rate.
So you mentioned you're looking at more government attendees coming. Have you done anything to help them come apart from the location?
So we've also included a government rate this year, which we haven't done in the past. So the government rate is basically an extension of the early bird rate for any government employees. This doesn't mean that you have to be a federal employee. We're honoring this at state level. You know, any government employee is considered eligible for it. And it's $4.99 for the 2-day pass rather than the $5.99.
And what do they have to do to qualify for that? Do they have to have a government email address or ID or something else?
So, not to say that I told you this, but you just click the box and say you're government.
Oh,
we're not doing any strict like validation on it. Just if you say you're a government employee and want the $100 discount, then you get the $100 discount.
Right. And then, do you have any other new options this year for attendees?
Yeah, so the other option we have is we have implemented a 1-day pass. We had some people ask about it, and after a couple emails, we decided to do it. So if you want to come on just Thursday and see some speakers, it's $3.99. If you're government, it's $3.49. On Friday, same thing, $3.99 or $3.49. So you basically get $100 off if for some reason you can't attend both days or you just want to come one day.
Great. Well, lots of innovation at CFObjective this year. So you've been involved in the conference for some time. For people who don't know, what exactly are your roles in CFObjective?
So my role specifically is, previous years I was on the cab and just I was a speaker a few years and then on the cab. And then this year I took over as co-chair with Adam Tuttle, a really, really, really great guy. He and I are co-chairing the content advisory board. So we're sharing the responsibility of finding all the speakers, helping them with content if they need help with it, finding things that the market needs to learn about, that they want to learn about. Going over all of their presentations and making sure that everything that they have in there is appropriate and that all of our attendees actually gain knowledge from the session rather than just sitting and wishing they hadn't come. So we try to put a lot of time into making sure that everyone who attends has the ability to learn. And then we also are on the steering committee. So as part of the steering committee, we're responsible from everything from A to Z. Jim does a great job with best meetings, organizing the venue, but outside of that, we basically handle it. We do your marketing, we do all the email blasts you get. We meet once a week, every Thursday at 3 or 4 to talk for about an hour over what we're doing. We try to come up with new ways to attract new attendees, make sure we have great speakers. I mean, whatever gets done for the conference is done by about 6 people on steering. And then we have 6 people on the cab who also do a lot of work. Yeah.
So it sounds like you do a lot of work vetting the content and the speakers and helping them make sure that their talk is going to be of interest to ColdFusion developers.
Yeah, that, and we try to make sure there's not a lot of overlap. So we try to work with the speakers who are on the same topic, like Docker, to make sure where speaker A leaves off, speaker B can either pick up and go more depth into or go a different way with it, so that you don't really want to learn about Docker, but then get the same knowledge in 2 sessions. You actually gain knowledge from both. Yeah, I mean, we have great speakers. We have some amazing people, and it's not like they need hand-holding or any help. They submit, and they're good to go. So, but the ones that do want help, we definitely have the people wanting to help with that.
Great. Well, it sounds like a lot of work to do this. And is this something you do year round, or is it just a few months? Or
Oh, it is absolutely year round. We take, okay, so after the conference ended last year, we met every week for a couple of weeks to just gather information about how the conference went, how it ended, what can we do differently. And then I think we took 3 weeks off or 4 weeks off. But since then, we've met every week, every Thursday since then, because it is a lot to do, definitely.
Well, I'm sure it's worth it to. Yeah, I'm sure it's worth it to make a great event. And you don't only do this, you also are a developer full time, and you're a mom full time. So you've got at least 3 jobs going at the moment.
Sometimes I wonder how I have time to sleep. But yeah, it's worth it. I mean, you only live once, so you just keep going. You get it all done somehow.
Well, I'm sure everyone attending really appreciates all the work you and the other content advisory and steering committee people at CFObjective do to make the event as good as it is.
Thank you.
So if folks wanted to reach you online, what's the best way to do that, Carol?
The easiest way is just to grab me on Twitter at K_roll242. K-roll, you'll find me. That's probably the easiest way.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast, and I hope everything goes wonderfully at CFObjective, which is only a few weeks away now.
I know, it's right around the corner. We're at the finish line now. And thanks for having me, and thanks for, broadcasting for us. We appreciate all you do, and the CFML community appreciates everything you do.
ColdFusion Alive. Thanks for subscribing on iTunes. Look for your next episode soon.